Hello everyone, this is Dr. Gaurav Deka. I'm a medical doctor and a transpersonal regression therapist. Human beings, children, in fact, all creatures on this planet are creatures of imitation. We all learn by imitating, replicating, duplicating. Even the DNA duplicates and replicates itself. So, going back to children learn only by imitating. You see how they imitate their parents. Sometimes it's not just about the behavior, sometimes it's also about the energy. They pick up, they absorb, and they become like their parents. So, 2 to 7 is the age when they are most formative. They are the formative years of the child. And during that time, the mind of the child is not singularly individual. It shares its own mind with the parent, with the mother, with the father. And therefore, during those years, whatever happened in the internal as well as external environment of the child absorbs, the child picks it up. Now imagine that in that environment there is dysfunctionality in the family in the form of fights, in the form of screaming, shouting, abusing, trauma. The child will pick that up. Now we have to understand that the concept of trauma for an individual who is an adult is different from the concept of trauma to a child. If a child, if a 6-year-old is holding an ice cream and if you take that ice cream away from the child's hand, even that is trauma for the child. So, which means that it's not just what happens to us as children. What we witness as children is also trauma, it's also abuse, and we then replicate those abusive models in our life later in life. To explain this, I will give you 3 examples here. The first example is an example of physical love. So in this case, what happened is a client of mine was unable to give up an abusive relationship, which was not sexually abusive, but emotionally it was abusive. And this person was unable to walk out of that relationship simply because the physical love was so great. While we were working with this person, we didn't find any trauma, we didn't find any dysfunctional patterns in the family. Rather, what we found is that the parents were very physical with the child. They really loved the child physically, held it, hugged it, kissed it, which is a good thing. That's what the child requires. But in this case, what had happened is the parents had lost 2 children before this child. Hence, their love was very secure, protective, loving, physical. And that's what the child grew up feeling familiar with. And when in an abusive relationship, the physical love was just too great, it could not walk out of it because that felt so familiar. So that's the first case. Moving on to the next, which I would call identifying with the most powerful parent. In this case, there is another client of mine whose issue is that they want to be with one person, while they themselves find themselves going around with other people and being with other people romantically, sexually, and that's not what they want to do. Our client clearly states that they don't want to be with multiple people at the same time, but they want to be with one person. While we look at the childhood patterns, we realize that the father of the client did have multiple affairs, and the mother chose to stay back in the relationship out of her own will. The child grew up feeling that the mother is someone that they need to help. The mother is someone who is also probably weak because she can't walk out. And the child kept feeling sad for the mother as well as angry. But unconsciously at the same time, the child kept on identifying with the father even if the child rejected the father, because the father was the more powerful one. He had more power over the relationship because he could walk out anytime he wanted. And therefore, my client wanted to see and wanted to recognize themselves as the more powerful one so that they don't end up becoming like their mother in their current relationship. But then that itself became the block. So when we worked with them, we tried to heal their relationship firstly with their parents and then move on to a new life, to a new relationship where they could be themselves and not their parents. Moving on to the third one, which I would call is the case of parentification. Here, a young woman comes to me and she says that she wants to have a partner in her life, but every time she meets a man, what happens is somehow or the other it doesn't work out. When we try to understand the family dynamics of this person, we figure out that the mother had been left by the father at a very young age. And this woman grows up as someone who feels that she's supposed to take care of her mother. And in the process, what happens is she takes up the kinds of diseases that her father has. For example, the father had cardiovascular disease, and this young woman at a very young age has cardiovascular disease. The father was addicted to alcohol, and she has recently started drinking alcohol and feeling good about it every time she meets a person and it doesn't work out. So she's replicating the pattern of the father. By doing that, she's unconsciously being available to the mother, and she has already become the proxy husband. So we try to see that when you are already becoming a proxy husband to someone, even if it's your mother, how are you going to manifest another man in your life where you want to be the wife, or you want to be the girlfriend, or you want to be the partner of this person? So you are stuck in that position. So that's how we sometimes parentify, and we take up the role of a parent and probably sabotage our own current relationship or even the desire of it. And in therapy, what we do is we make them aware of these positions, and we try to allow them to leave those relationships, leave those positions where they are, where they're supposed to be, and take their current position as the daughter. Only then they can move on in their life and live the life that they have desired, not the life that have been unconsciously being dumped on them. Thank you so much, and please do keep watching TOI Health and Fitness for more such content.